Hello and welcome to my blog, Creative Makings. My name's Claire Newcomb. Today I want to talk you through a couple of simple techniques, stamping techniques, just to make this bookmark here, just with a couple of simple supplies. I'm going to take one stamp from this clear stamp set. I shall have an acrylic block and a clear ink pad and some white embossing powder. So to begin, I've taken my grey board bookmark template from Creative Expressions. I've created a mount to go on top of that just by simply drawing around the grey board onto black paper. I'm going to take my clear stamp from the set, the little heart banner here. And I've mounted that onto my clear acrylic block. Because I'll be stamping and embossing with this stamp, I'm going to cover my black card with like an anti-static bag. I've made my own one here. I've just got a piece of muslin cloth and put some regular talcum powder inside, and just I've taken a hair grip, a hairband, and just to seal that. So it's just a piece of this simple homemade thing. You can buy anti-static bags, but you can see there we get a nice dusting with the talcum powder over the top of the card, and basically what that does, it resists all extra imprints onto the black card that you don't want. The embossing powder will actually stick not only to the stamped impression that you've made with your clear pad, but it'll also pick up any fingerprint marks that you may have on there, any slight any other stickiness that you may actually have on the card. And when you're using something like white embossing powder onto a black card, you're going to get the little specks, and it just takes away the neatness of the embossing. So the other technique that I'm going to show you is how to create the zigzag effect. You can see here, just by using this one stamp, that I've created the zigzag, but quite clearly you can see from the stamp there that it doesn't look like that. And it's just a good way to get more out of your stamps as opposed to stamping them just as they are. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to ink my stamp with the clear ink. It's more of a glue, a tacky clear glue actually, but you use it as a normal regular ink. So we just stamp that, and we're going to start off at the top. I want to cover most of this page, and when you're doing random designs like this, it's good to actually start off with some of the design off the page. So I'm just going to stamp randomly at the top there. You can see that goes across. Hopefully the camera can pick that up for you. You can see the impression and that it's actually gone off the page. Actually, you can see here another advantage also of dusting the card with the powder is that you can actually see where your image, where you've stamped. So when you're going to match up patterns or match up images on here, you can actually see where you're going, so that's an added bonus. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is create another swag of hearts this way. So I want to match up the end of my stamp that I can see on my block here. I want to match it up with the string of this banner here. Fortunately, because we're using the clear stamps and the clear blocks, we can actually see where that goes. So line it up and hover before you actually commit and actually put the stamp down. So we can see there, we can just stamp. Again, it doesn't matter if you've got some of the image going off the page, but hopefully there now you can see. Already we can see the beginnings of how this banner is going to go. So it's just a case of inking your stamp each time Remember to try and take your ink pad, whether it be this clear one or any other colour, to your stamp and just really light dabbing. You can see that I'm hardly touching that, but the more little dabs you do, you're not actually going to flood the stamp. If you press too hard, especially with a spongy ink pad like this, the ink actually goes down into the grooves and into the detail of the stamp, and you actually lose a bit of the clarity. This has got really nice stitched detail into the heart, so I just wanted to keep that. So again, I'm just going to stamp across, coming back across this way. You can see there actually I didn't quite line up. Can you see that? Didn't quite line up the end of the banner to the one at the top, but that doesn't matter. Again, it's ink the stamp. Let me take that again. Another reason why I like using this Perfect Medium by Ranger is that it stays sticky for a long time, so you don't actually have to rush to put the embossing powder on here. We can just take our time and stamp so we can get our image just right. And we re-ink up again each time. Oops. Okay, what I'm going to do now, before I continue with the hearts, I'm just going to take some words, a word stamp from the Doodle Roses stamp set by Just Right. I'm going to take some words which say thank you for everything. And I'm just going to stamp that on the bottom of the bookmark here. I'll do that now just so as I know that I've got space in there, then I can go on and fill in with the hearts again. So same technique, it's an acrylic stamp again, on a clear stamp, clear polymer stamp again onto the acrylic block. Really light tapping. Again, we don't want to lose the detail of the stamp and the detail of the words. But again, because we're using clear stamps here, we can see and we know where we're going to be able to place those words. Stamp down firmly. Don't push too hard, again that will have the same effect and losing some of the clarity in the detail of the stamp. Hopefully again you can see how well that's stamped out. The hearts are just in the right position, and I may just finish off with a few of the hearts below. Okay, stamping done. I'm going to put the bookmark onto a piece of clear paper now and take my embossing powder. I'm using a white embossing powder, again that's your choice, you can choose whichever colour you wish, but if you work onto a tray or a piece of plain just scrap paper, it just catches the excess, so just sprinkle your embossing powder over all of your stamp design. for those of you who haven't done this before, there's no need to be alarmed with the amount that you use, because you tip the majority of the product off, and you can see there all that stays is where you have stamped with the clear ink. Now there's a little bit of powder that has stuck, but again that's been really reduced because of the talcum powder technique. Okay, so I just set that to one side and we clear away our powder before we get a heat gun going. We don't want to waste that lot. Okay, so we take a heat gun, we allow it just to warm up slightly, and then working 3 or 4 inches over the top of your stamped image, we just hold the gun in place. Hold the heat in place until we can see the powder turn. It's going to be very hard for me to capture this on camera for you. But what you're doing with the heat, you're actually melting the powder into the paper or cardstock that you've stamped onto. And as you see, each section of powder melt, it changes colour. It goes from a grainy texture to a smooth, shiny texture. And as that happens, you just work your way down the image slowly. Until all the powder has changed consistency. Okay, whether you can pick that up or not. All them stamped images actually turned, it's got a sheen on there now. And once you've allowed the embossing powder to cool down slightly, you can just rub away the excess layer of talcum powder that you can see over the top, so you can return your cardstock back to the true black, and you won't be wiping away any of the image that you see there. Now, because this is a bookmark and we've cut it to fit the grey board, I'm going to attach this. And now that it's stuck, I'm just going to round the corners off. Give a nice neat finish. This was easier to do once it was stuck to the grey board. Okay, the final finishing touch that I want to do is take a white marker pen. I'm using a graphic line painter pen here. It's the best white pen that I've found. for me to use, and it shows up nice. And I'm just going to do some faux stitching around the outside. Okay, all we need to do now to finish that off is just add a little length of ribbon. Contrast colour looks really effective against the black. Makes a perfect gift for both the guy and the lady, even for children as well. And my son is always reading. He makes his own bookmarks. He's always got a book on the go. And because it's single layer stamping, no other layers, perfect to use in a book. Thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions or you'd like to contact me or follow my blog, the address is www.creativemakings.co.uk, and I hope to see you again soon.